Today we're going to look at Lesson 5. Your I can statement or learning objective is I can factor special case quadratic expressions. So today we are still factoring those quadratic expressions that you're used to, but today we're going to look at two different types of special cases. And that means if you recognize these two types of quadratic expressions, there's a shortcut to finding the two factors, or I guess all the factors, I should say. So you don't have to do guess and check or the star method or factor by grouping. I'm going to show you a shortcut to factor it really quickly. Now, never fear. If you don't remember the shortcuts, that's okay. You don't have to use them. You can still use those other methods. But if you can notice these little shortcuts, it can save you some time. All right, as always, I expect you to take these notes with me, write them down, try the examples, and then use that to help you with your Math Excel work. I'm going to go faster in the video than I would in person, so keep that in mind. You're welcome to pause and rewind as you need to. And if you still need help or have questions after the video, rejoin the Google Meet, send me an email, or hit that Ask My Instructor button to get some help. All right. Now, before we get started with some examples, you need to make note, you're always checking for a GCF first. We're still doing that. Even though we have special cases, you need to look at the entire expression and see if you can pull out a GCF. First, we're going to look at the difference of two squares. When you have a quadratic expression and you have a perfect square minus a perfect square, then you can factor that to a minus b times a plus b. Or if you see those two binomials, you can go straight to this. And so those are reversible. You can go either direction. The shortcut works either way. But we're going to look at some problems where you have a perfect square minus a perfect square. And this works because a times a is a squared. B times b is b squared. And if you have a negative times a positive, you get a negative. Okay? Okay, let's look at some examples. So number 1, we have x squared minus 49. I know that x squared is a perfect square and 49 is a perfect square. So I'm going to make my two sets of parentheses. I know x times x makes x squared. I know 7 times 7 gives me 49. And I have to have a positive and a negative. And that's it. That's my answer. We're just going to do that same thing. All right, here we have 16 and 81. Those do not have a GCF, so I can go straight to the perfect squares. So we'll make my two sets of parentheses. 4 times 4 gives me 16. Y times y gives me y squared. 9 times 9 gives me 81, and I need a positive and a negative. Okay. Number 3, we have 45 minus 5x squared. Oh, this one has a GCF. So I'm going to pull out the 5, and that leaves me with 9 minus x squared. I know 9 is a perfect square, and so is x squared. So I'm going to bring down that 5, make my two sets of parentheses. 3 times 3 gives me 9. X times x gives me x squared. And again, I need a negative and a positive. Okay. Number 4, we have 4x to the 4th minus 9. This one's a little bit different because it's not quadratic anymore, but it's going to work the same way. 2 times 2 gives me 4. X squared times x squared gives me x to the 4th. 3 times 3 gives me 9. And again, I need a negative and a positive. Okay. And last, 6x squared minus 6y squared, our GCF is 6. That leaves me with x squared minus y squared. Bring down my GCF. X times x gives me x squared. Y times y gives me y squared. I need a positive and a negative. Okay, so those should be pretty easy. First, factor out the GCF if there is one. and then just split up those perfect squares, and then you'll need one positive factor and one negative factor. Next, we're going to look at the square of a binomial. So this means when you have the quantity a plus b squared, then that turns into a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, since we're factoring, we're going backwards. So you're going to be given an expression where the first term is a perfect square and the second and the last term is a perfect square, and in the middle it's 2 times a times b. Okay, so I'm going to show you what these problems look like, and if you can recognize that your quadratic expression is one of these, it's the square of a binomial, then you can easily pick out the two factors. Okay, so number one, we have x squared plus 10x plus 5. All right, so x squared is a perfect square and 25 is a perfect square. So my a is 1, and I'm just going to write this down on this one just so you can see. So a is 1. The square root of 25 is 5, and then 2 times a times b. So 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 5 is 10. So this fits the description up here. This is a square of a binomial. So I know x times x gives me x squared, and 5 times 5 gives me 25. And I have to get a positive 10, so it's going to be plus 5 and plus 5. And you can check your answers there. X times x is x squared. 5 times x times 5 is 5x. 5 times x is 5x. Add those together and get 10x. And 5 times 5 is 25. Now, in Math Excel, I think that it wants you to put your answers like this. X plus 5 quantity squared. Now, if you were taking a test or a quiz or something, I would accept either one of those responses. But I think Math Excel wants you to do it this way. Okay. Number 2, same kind of thing. Perfect square, perfect square. The square root of 16 is 4. So 2 times 1 times 4 is 8. So this one works as well. X times x gives me x squared. 4 times 4 gives me 16, and those need to give me a positive 8, so that's plus 4 and plus 4. And our answer is going to be the quantity x plus 4 squared. Okay, number 3, 9 is a perfect square, 16 is a perfect square. All right, and so 2 times 3 times 4 is 24, so that's going to work. So we have 3x times 3x, 4 times 4. Now this time we have a negative up here. So instead of plus plus, we're going to have minus minus. So that'll give us 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 4 is negative 12x. We get another negative 12x, which gives us our negative 24x. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. And so our answer is 3x minus 4 quantity squared. All right, and our last one. So 5x times 5x will give me 25x squared. 2 times 2 will give me 4. And then we need a negative, so it's going to be minus and minus. And so we have the quantity 5x minus 2 squared. Okay, so hopefully those seem pretty easy, and hopefully your assignment in Math Excel doesn't take you very long. I think it's just 12 problems if I'm remembering correctly. So these examples should help you, but if you need more help, as always, jump back in the Google Meet, send me an email, or hit the Ask My Instructor button. Have a great day.